Welcome back to Guitar Solo Dojo. Jason Moore here. I'm on a theme this week, doing a little bit of stuff off of Van Halen 2. So I'm going to do another one of my favorites. I think they're all kind of my favorites off of Van Halen 2. Beautiful Girls, the intro to that. So not a whole lot of craziness going on except for the timing. And a couple little parts, key parts of this that he does differently than I thought he did when I first learned the riff like 40 years ago, whatever it was. So we'll go over those things. But the timing, like I said, is key. It's a 16th note shuffle, and it's around, the intro is like around 101 beats per minute. I think some of the official transcriptions say 104, but that's just a little fast. And those extra 3 beats per minute, actually, you can feel it. So slow it down just a little bit, like 101, and then later on in the song, I think it speeds up just a little bit. But the idea behind the 16th note shuffle is we have a normal shuffle, like an 8th note shuffle, da, 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 right? So with the 16th note shuffle, da, 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 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So that's the rhythm that we're dealing with. And then the next part is understanding where the thing starts, because it just starts with the guitar riff, right? And you have 1 16th note pickup on the of 4, which is just this open, and then the rest of it just lands right on the beat. So it's 1, a 2, a 3, 4, 4. So right away, kind of hard to count that and play it. But anyway, so right away, we get right into this riff, and we get the first little trick that he does. And it's this thing right here. So I had seen that written a couple different ways. One just plays the open A and the open D string, and then hammers onto the second fret of the A, but he definitely doesn't do that. So he does this. Then he grabs this B5, this B power chord, and just adds the pinky to the 5th fret of the A string, and then pulls that off to the 2nd fret. So, okay. And then this kind of atypical little power chord move up, chromatic power chord move, which is kind of unusual just to take this power chord for him anyway, and just move it up, you know, consecutively, like the parallel fifths is what we call that. So, and then those cool little bass fills coming in. I don't know if you saw the intro of that video, if you're paying attention. I don't know if I was actually mouthing out the bass riffs, but I was definitely thinking about them because it's not quite the same without it. So anyway, I'm sitting there thinking about those bass riffs as I'm playing through that intro riff. So we got this. Repeats the same idea. We do it one more time. And then we get the second trick. A little tricky thing that he does, and it's, we just take this 9th fret of the G string, I put a little pinch harmonic on it, then we let it drop back down, then we do a whammy bar dip about 1.5 steps down, and that's the only part. And we have that same power chord idea, this time moving down from 5 to 4 to 2, so from a D to a C sharp down to a B. Then we get into the verse riff, which is very, very cool. It takes full advantage of that 16th note shuffle groove to create an awesome sound. So we get this. Okay, so essentially what we have here, if we look at this harmonically, we could look at it like chords that are being played and what it means and all that stuff. Ultimately, it just sounds cool, so that's all we really need to think about. But if I break this down, we have this E, E5. And then it's basically an A over C sharp. But I don't even think of it like that. I think it more of a just like an E with an add 6, kind of like a bluesy riff, but it doesn't matter. However you think of it, the notes are still the same. And then we get to this cool thing, which is actually, it's actually a D chord. So it's just kind of got the root, the third, and the fifth kind of mixed up in different places than you would normally see. So if I look at this chord shape here, I've got a root on the A string, a fifth on the E string, and then the third on the D string. So if the harmony sounds like this. So that's the chord position or the chord progression that's happening there, only he does a little bit differently in a way cooler way. So, and then all these little fills in between. I don't know if he had a specific pattern. I haven't watched enough live videos of this to know if he does it the same way every time or not, but it fluctuates between a few different ideas. That's one of them. So we got this A string, 5th fret pull off to open, then 2nd fret, sliding up to the 4th fret, and then these two opens on the high E and the B string. So we get this. Well, the first one, I guess, is this, where we start, once again, holding down the A and the D strings. This time at the 2nd fret, you're going to bar it, and then add in the C sharp or the 4th fret on the A string, and that pulls off, and then that pulls off to open. So it looks like this. And the next fill is when we do this. So we got. And so if you see my fingers doing this, I'm just stopping everything to keep it from just going. So I'm not hitting any extra notes or anything like that. So. And the fourth time he does a slight variation on this. Okay, so it's just 4th fret on the A, pull off to open. Do that same 2nd to 4th fret slide on the A string. And add in the 2nd fret on the D string. Then back to the 4th fret on the A. Fingering wise, I just do it like this, using my third and my first fingers. And it kind of just goes back and forth between those fills until you get to the pre-chorus part. So the whole verse, that first verse sounds like this. And leading into the pre-chorus, we get to that part, which I will save for another day. I think I'm going to do a couple of these continuations on the next set of videos here so we can continue on with some of the ones that we started this week. Anyway, great tune. I think this one I'll probably end up working all the way through because the solo is super cool too. Short and sweet, but awesome. And if you have any requests, as always, just put them in the comments section and I will be happy to start working on some of those things. I got a few things to catch up on here. We've been out of action for a few weeks, but we're back and we're going to get back some good videos rolling out. So have a good one. Enjoy.